What's up, Buff Nation, and welcome to Buff News Weekly, your weekly recap of the past week's Colorado football news. I'm your host, Russ Dornish, and let's jump right in. The massive headline of the week is finally the official signing of five-star #1 offensive lineman in the country out of IMG Academy, Jordan Seaton. If you followed this saga throughout the week, you know there was a time that it did not appear Seaton would end up at Colorado after his commitment 2 weeks ago. But as the week progressed, we started seeing some interesting things, and in all honesty, I believe we saw a very calculated marketing plan from both Coach Prime and Seaton himself. Let's break it down really quick. Tuesday was early signing day, and many thought Seaton would be an easy and quick signing, but that ended up not being the case. Tuesday afternoon, it was announced Jordan Seaton would not be signing on Tuesday after all. Then Tuesday evening, Hayes Fawcett, who creates graphics for players on his Instagram account announcing signings, transfer portal, and other major milestones, announced he would host a Q&A with Seaton. During the Q&A, Seaton revealed after committing to Colorado, teams became desperate to flip him. He said they pushed even harder. Even said his most recent DM was from Nebraska and five-star signing Dylan Raiola asking him to come to Nebraska.
You thought you was gonna get what we got? You really thought you was gonna get what we got?
Overall, the interview was awkward and had the makings of Seaton being tired of the whole process. This led us into Wednesday, when the media started turning up the narrative that Seaton was looking to flip and no longer sign at Colorado. 24/7 insider from Maryland even went as far as to crystal ball Seaton to Maryland during the week. It was also said that Seaton took a secret visit to Maryland last week. As time went on, that narrative expanded even more to include Oregon as a potential landing ground as well. Then, on Wednesday night, Jordan Sanders, the quarterback for Colorado, tweeted, "If you ain't with us, then move around," which many believed, including myself, to be about Seaton and all but closing the door on his arrival. Until a late night post by Deion Sanders Jr., owner of Well Off Media, in regards to his latest upload, posted this to Twitter. At first glance, the post just shows a video uploading and how long it was taking. And yet, when you expanded the picture, as you see here, it shows an incoming FaceTime from Shadur and Seaton. This sent Buff Nation into a frenzy, realizing that Seaton, Prime, and Colorado may have been playing the media and the exposure all along. Soon after the tweet, his video posted revealing a FaceTime conversation between Shadur and Seaton and their plans for a meetup in Miami. Finally, Friday came and another post by Deion Jr. showed him in a car in Miami and panned over to reveal none other than Jordan Seaton. The day finally ended when Seaton made a post on Instagram with him shopping and the employee congratulating him for signing with Colorado, and Seaton looking into the camera with a "we comin' and Sco Buffs." Whew, what a week. But Seaton is signed, sealed, and deliver, and we can now move on into the rest of the offseason here in Buff Nation.
Do you believe that?
Now for a full summary of signing day for the Buffs, let's hit the high school signings first. While light on names, the class does not lack talent, including, of course, five-star Jordan Seaton, but also 3 4-star players and 2 3-star players. The 3 big hitters from the signing class include 4-star Draylon Miller, wide receiver out of Texas, 4-star athlete Cam Michael out of Georgia, and Brandon Davis Swain, edge out of Michigan. Rounding out the recruiting class, but definitely not to be missed, are 3-star running back Micah Welsh and 3-star edge Eric Brantley Jr. While many in the media are criticizing Prime for the light high school class, I see a group of quality over quantity. The top 3 players, Seaton, Miller, and Michael, all ranked top 10 all-time in Buff signees based on ranking. And both Miller and Michael are the highest high school wide receivers ever signed by the program. Now, on to the big class of transfers to round out the day. Colorado signed in total 16 transfers. You can see them here, with the highlights being on the O-line and D-line, headlined by Samuel Okunlola, Chidozie Nwanku, Anquan Barnes, Quincy Wiggins, Khalil Benson, Justin Myers, and Tyler Johnson, to name a few. Overall, between the transfers and the recruits, CU signed a total of 10 blue chip commitments for next year, bolstering spots in the lineup where it was needed the most. With all of the signings this week, I wanted to highlight the eligibility on the players signed. One media narrative going around is Coach Prime is not looking at the future enough with his high school signings, and thus will soon be leaving Colorado. However, the part where people are not looking into is the fact that a lot of the transfers have multiple years of eligibility, and the fact that most freshmen don't play the first year of college. It seems so many freshman players end up transferring and not staying around that getting more seasoned players in the portal will become the norm. Coach Prime is changing the way college football is done outside of those big 5 or 6 top schools in the country. Several transfers have 3 to 4 years of eligibility, including quarterback Destin Wade, wide receiver Cordell Russell, defensive lineman Quincy Wiggins, and Samuel Okunlola, while several others have at least 2 years, including wide receiver Terrell Timmons, tight end Chamon Mayer, offensive lineman Tyler Johnson and Khalil Benson, as well as defensive players Anquan Barnes and Keaton Wade. What people need to realize is that by taking more mature, college experienced players, Prime can compete quicker rather than waiting 2 to 3 years for all of the freshmen to be ready to make impact plays. This is especially important with some of the players on the roster, including, of course, quarterback Shedeur Sanders, who expects to enter the NFL draft next year, as well as star player Travis Hunter, who will also be draft eligible after next season. Instead, Prime is selecting freshmen who have huge upside and are ready to play right now, and then filling out the rest of the roster with recruits who are ready to start as transfers. All I can say is, welcome to the new era of college football. Finally, to end off this week's episode, here are my latest thoughts on Coach Prime Season 2, Episode 4. In this week's episode, the Oregon and USC games are covered. Of course, this was when things started to unravel a bit for the Buffs with those 2 losses. But some of the insight from these episodes are incredible for the future and what is actually going on behind the scenes with the team. The highlight of the episode was the focus on star cornerback Cormani McClain, who last year was the #1 cornerback recruit in the country. Cormani had high expectations that seemed like they weren't being met after not really playing in the first couple of games. Finally, he was called out by Coach Prime during a presser during one of the first games of the season. However, the young man shows in this episode the ability to be coached and his ability to mature as the season went on, as he took directions from both the team, the coaches, and his teammates. The biggest point to this was his relationship with Travis Hunter and how Travis helps Cormani on and off the field. You can really see the relationship between the two blossoming, and Cormani really respects Travis and his game. This leads to a huge game from Cormani in the USC game once he's implemented into the game during the middle of it. And it's simply awesome to see that story unfold and the way that Travis coaches him from the sideline. Overall, a solid episode of the documentary that I highly recommend you catch on Amazon Prime. And that concludes this week's show. Make sure you subscribe and hit that bell to know when our weekly videos go live. Until next time, I'm Russ Dornish. Go Buffs.